What's up, y'all? Sparty here. I'm going to try to not make this a long video, mainly because it's handheld. I don't have a tripod on me, but what I want to talk about is something that I feel I haven't really talked about all that much when it comes to audio and mobile audio in particular. And it mainly comes down to commending LG for doing what they did with going to with having their dedication for higher quality audio, right? And the main reason why I'm doing this now is because at the time LG decided to start using hi-fi DACs or quad DACs or just hi-fi DACs in general, a lot of corded mobile audio was hot garbage if you wanted to use higher impedance headphones. Now, I don't have any with me. I don't have my Sennheiser HD 650s here or anything like that, though I do have my gaming headset, which the V60 is overkill for. But the main reason why I'm talking about this is because the moment Apple decided to take out the Courage port, the headphone jack, that's when I feel a lot of manufacturers and a lot of, even Qualcomm in particular, and same with Samsung, they took corded audio less seriously. And that kind of sucks for somebody like me who invested quite a bit in a lot of these phones. V20 was like V20, V30. V10 is when I started taking audio a little bit more seriously. V20 was when I started looking even deeper into it. V30 is when I first bought my Sennheiser HD 650s. There was a lot of stuff when it came to that where it made me excited to be able to use 300 ohm headphones on a phone. Even go up to 600 ohms if I ever decide to go for the DT 990 Pro 1990 Pros. But it was just exciting, right? And I hoped that more would do that. HTC eventually gave up on the headphone jack, which was they were the original let's take audio seriously brand, but then they started to slip in the mind share of people, so they decided to copy Apple. For years, Samsung decided to mock Apple, but then with the S20, with the Note 10s and the S20s, they decided we're going to take out the headphone jack. Um, but that doesn't necessarily mean corded audio on phones got still is trash or got worse. Let me give you an example. So the V60 technically has two entirely different audio systems in it. It has the one that's on the Snapdragon 865, and it has the ESS Sabre Quad DAC that, it's the quad DAC that a lot of LG users know and love, right? Um, it's the newest, more upgraded one of the quad DACs. It's not the same as the V50 or V40 or G8 or G7. It's the latest and greatest that ESS has right now. So that's nice. Um, when I connected my and all you gotta do to know that whether or not you're using it is just turn off the quad DAC, right? That's all you really got to do. It's that simple. And when I turned it off and I had my HD 650s in, it wasn't nearly as bad of an experience as, say, turning off the quad DAC on my G8, where you really could not use those headphones without the quad DAC. But on the V60, for example, with the Snapdragon 865, I feel you can. I still prefer using the quad DAC because overall it just sounds better in my personal opinion, and you get way more audio options like like filters and all that. They're not called filters. I'm not gonna make the Android police mistake and call them filters. So let me actually go into what these are here. It is a digital filter. So you can do a sound preset or a digital filter. That'll help with particular headphones, like say with particular drivers, like say planar magnetics or something like that, where you would want the playback to you would want to change that playback so that it is a little bit faster, so that it will sound better with those headphones. But in terms of the quad DAC, it definitely still is needed. But in terms of overall just volume output, that's where I feel it's not needed nearly as much. For example, an iPhone 6S can that amp is very, very powerful. Like, in fact, it's too much. Where I feel LG kind of overcorrects is that it can definitely power and drive headphones like say 10P1s, no problem. Or even the 10P2s that just came out, which are planar magnetics. But the problem is, since those are low impedance headphones, since they want them to be used on lower spec stuff, they're lower impedance. So they require less power. But the problem with that is the V60 will detect that it is lower impedance, so it won't properly drive the headphones. Which is why I've always said when I brought up the V60 in audio is I wish LG would just put a high gain or high impedance mode in the phone. But I also showed you guys in another video how to make the phone go into a high impedance mode. And there are other ways of doing that without messing up the MMCX connectors or the 2-pin connectors on your IEMs. And I've talked about that too. You could just get like a little 3.5 extender, put the extender in the phone first and play music, and then put the 3.5 millimeter on the cord into the extender, and then it'll be good. But also the V30 made me get these here. Unfortunately, this pair is water damaged. The original pair I had, when I got jumped, they got fucked up. Like, they literally got ripped apart. So, I guess I can't win with IE800s. But, in terms of what LG has done, I really do commend them for doing this and sticking to this for so long. And why I'm not necessarily hurt if, say, the V70 or whatever they call it doesn't have a headphone jack. I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure it will still have a quad DAC for at least one more generation. Why I'm not hurting is because we have specific we have G6s that have a quad DAC. We have a G7 that has G7s that have quad DACs. We have G8s that have quad DACs. V20 through V60s that have quad DACs. Not to mention all the like V35s and stuff like that also have quad DACs. There are so many LG phones with quad DACs out right now that you can literally get an old one and use it as just a dedicated MP3 player. Get a V20. The V20 still sounds fantastic today. Like, even though I do like the output of the quad DAC and the V60 more, it doesn't make the V20 sound like ass at all. That would definitely be the one I would go with more, mainly because removable battery. Like, you could get two 4800 milliamp hour batteries for that phone, and you'd be going for hours. You'd be going for probably days without having to charge your phone. Ever. And you'll never have to use it as a main phone because it's just your MP3 player. It's just your music player. And that's really nice. But why I would go with a newer phone is for those updates. LG has definitely gotten better with updates now. so you don't really have to worry about that. I believe I'm on the November patch for security. I believe. I always forget. I don't pay attention to it all that much, even though I should. But let me check here. I'm on the October patch, which makes sense. I'm not necessarily mad about that. Being 2 months behind is not that bad, especially since the work definitely going to be working on the Android 11 update, so that's fine. But that's all I really want to talk about is LG. I really do thank you for doing these things here, for focusing on audio for what, since the V10, where HTC dropped the ball and stopped caring about it. Well, they didn't really stop caring about it, but they stopped having a headphone jack in their phone. They focused on audio in different ways, where their Usonic technology and stuff like that's really cool. Where their ear scanning technology is really cool. They started focusing on different ways to be good at audio, but they don't do it in raw power anymore. They just do it in like very other interesting ways. LG did a very good job taking up that mantle and giving us a phone that can power these very, very demanding, headphones and make them sound really good. Not just be like, oh, you can power them and that's it. They can power them and also sound really good. And that's where I feel like a lot of a lot of audio reviewers also like slag phones, and when people bring up LG phones in particular, they're like, "Oh, it's just still just a phone." But now I feel that they're paying more attention to it since the DAP industry is kind of prolapsing on itself right now. But it's whatever. This is Sparta. Thank guys for watching. Thanks for support. Do you guys have an LG V phone? Do you have anything like that? Let me know in the comment section below. Um, have a good one.